Hi, everybody. Welcome to Profiles in Ink. My name is Bill Soroka. I'm the founder of NotaryCoach.com and the Sign and Thrive Notary Training Course and Community. I'm very excited to bring you another great origin story of a notary, a mobile notary and loan signing agent just like you, who is killing it in her business in California. Please welcome Yvonne Seidel. Yvonne, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it.
I really appreciate you. I remember when we finally got to meet in person at the Notary Symposium in November, when you shared your success in the story behind what you were doing. I knew right away that I wanted to share this with everybody. So I really appreciate you making time. You're so busy, and we've already had to reschedule this already. So because you're so busy, and I love that, great problem to have. So thank you again for making the time.
Absolutely.
So we, the first thing I'd love to hear and I'd love to share with our audience is just how you decided or where you were and how you decided to get into the mobile notary and loan signing business.
Yeah, absolutely, Bill. I was in corporate America, of course, for many years and was doing regulatory affairs for pharmaceutical companies and had been a notary part-time, helping people with that, and just decided after attending a Las Vegas National Notary Convention and all the great tools they offered there, to go ahead and take a leap of faith and leave my six-figure job to pursue notary and notary signing agent services full time. Wow. Quite nervous, very steep cliff to jump off of, but through the National Notary Association, and also your Notary Coach program, I learned a lot, took a lot of notes, and decided to go ahead and pursue it full time. I wasn't expecting the outcome that had happened in the months later, but was a little nervous at first because I started off and didn't make a lot of revenue. But again, got really hungry, followed some of the advice that you've given about being ready for a yes, pursuing and talking to clients that I had just actually provided notary, following up with them, saying, how are things? Did your package go through correctly? Did you have any questions? I'm very vested and interested to know. And it was becoming a friend to them in a sense that to follow up and to say, look, I just want to be here and let you know that I am here. If you ever have any questions, let me know. And that kind of folded into them contacting other people, even doing a notary for someone at their business, letting their HR department know. And again, I did not do any marketing, Bill. These are just from following up with people and saying, how are you? I was there, we met, how are things going? And they really were attuned to that. And things just developed rapidly after that.
I'd love to hear that because, Yvonne, you are clearly somebody who took the relationship aspect of this business to the nth degree. This is not transactional. It can be. And the people who succeed the least, I think, treat it as a transaction. That they just pop in, they do what they do, and they leave. When you take this extra time to build a relationship, and it's clear that you authentically care about your customer, and that's what I love about this story, and you take the time to follow up, magic really does happen. So you've got I'm sure some really great stories and some great relationships that have come out of that as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, this is all mobile. And as we had talked about in prior conferences, Bill, when you've mentored me, I have done no marketing. These are people that, of course, you kind of let your business be out there and people say, okay, I need a notary through whatever channel you use, whether it's a social media channel, it's your Facebook. I definitely did not do any marketing per se of ordering ads or ordering leads or things like that. These all came from people who actually just happened to refer you because they liked you so much. There was a connection there. And if it came to coming back to like a business, for example, again, I was invited by HR. I was invited by organizations, and it was just fantastic. That contact list you told me about keeping and pinging people on that list, yes. In addition to that, there were daily dues that you talked about. Like you said, being ready for that yes, and not treating the business as something that you're out there to get the most money into the bank. It was, although that happened for me, I had, and if I can mention this on the interview, I started off leaving a six-figure salary. My first month was about 3K, which was a little scary because I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got expenses from that six-figure income that I'm bringing with me. You know, how do I start to connect with people? The following month, I think I had another 3K and was biting nails. In October, my business, and of course, Bill has the documents to prove this, my business jumped to 10K. November, I think I went up to 12K. This is a month without advertising. And I think December, January were about 15 and 14K. Mentors are immensely wonderful. People like Bill Soroka, I've met Carol Ray. I've connected with some national notary people, and it doesn't have to necessarily be the National Notary Association. Talk to other people in business, find out what value you can bring to the table, and tell you that value shows in the way you present yourself and in the referral business that comes back.
Yeah, that's amazing. You have shared so much insight on this, so I really appreciate that. Number one, from a course creator standpoint, when I hear that somebody has just jumped in, and I know you're speaking directly about my morning mastery program and the daily dues, those things that I implemented in my business that boosted my revenues from $1,000 a month to $20,000 a month. Here you are recreating that. So, and I did. So for our audience, I really love Yvonne's transparency. She sent me over her bank statements to show me the amount of revenue. And she encouraged me to share them with you, but I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that, but I just want you guys to know is the revenue is real. You know, and Yvonne, I know you were stressed out about making $3,000 a month your first month. In another person's world, that would probably be phenomenally amazing, different circumstances. So the fact that you were able to just jump into a new business and do that speaks volumes about your commitment to your business and treating this professionally.
Yes.
And then to see those revenues gradually increase, and you said the 10,000, the 14,000, I saw $16,000 in there. So that just blows my mind, and I love to see you recreating that. That just shows us the possibilities.
Yes.
Here, and you're in. What part of the California are you in?
Yes, I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it's pretty dense in San Francisco. We also have other bays that surround. And again, I got hungry, and I actually drove to those locations. There, you know, depending on traffic, that's what kills you is that traffic.
Yeah.
But you can really get there. I'm within like an hour and a half radius to anybody.
What would you say to somebody who said it's too saturated in my city? What would you say to that?
As far as there's too many other notaries that you compete with? That's a good question. I had come across that because on any type of like Notary Cafe or other notary databases where people can go pick anybody, it just depends. You know, I didn't have any spectacular picture that I put in, and I really didn't apply to those databases. I think one or two I did, and I really didn't get the business from that. It was basically from actually getting to your client, giving them great service, which you already know because you've done the training, and following up. It was something about following up that led to them really feeling that they can be personal with you and trust that if they give you your name to other, you know, people they know, that that trust is there. So a saturated market, yeah, it's there. Competition's everywhere. But if you actually have the commitment to say, you know what, I'm also one of the greats, and I can also provide that service as one of the greats, it'll come to you.
I love that you talk about that. You know, in your particular market city, I've actually had several conversations with people who think it's too saturated. They look at signingagent.com and there's too many, or they get on the forums and they hear about how bad business is.
Yes.
I love what you said, though, that you have the ability to be one of the greats. You're the only one that knows your experience level. So it's not like the world is out here judging you. You get to be who you need to be to create success in this. And it sounds like that's exactly what you did in a quote unquote saturated market. I love that. Now, I love that you also talked about the contact list. That's one of the things that we talk about in Morning Mastery a lot, and the staying connected. The contact list is a great way to just manage your list of contacts, your database of people, so you can manage how you stay in touch and follow up.
Yes.
The fortune is in the follow-up, and you are clearly demonstrating that. When
Yes.
you mentioned something when we were talking previously about scheduling your follow-ups. Do you have a certain strategy for that?
Depending on who it is and what type of signing it is, I try to get back to people at least within 3 to 5 days. And that seems like, oh my gosh, they're going to forget about me. Or if you call, they're like, who is this? Which has happened a couple of times. But I try to do within a week, because then they don't get that funny feeling like, okay, are you trying to solicit more notary business? That is definitely not in the conversation. It is really saying, hey, this is Yvonne. Remember, I came to your home where we met to do your notarization. I just want to follow up with you. How are things going? And some of them were like, well, yes, and why? But it's just to say, we had a great, notarization of your loan signing, or just a general notary. I'm just checking up with you. Or do you have any questions about what happened on that day? Is there anything you'd like for me to answer, whether it's about your notary, or if you're having an issue that you can't deal with? Not that you're going to be the psychologist here. I'm not trying to try to get them to pour their emotions out. But it's really interesting how that little bit of saying, I'm here. If you ever want to chat or ask a question, or maybe your friend has a question about something regarding business, regarding anything that's going on, let me know. I think at one time, Bill, you said that somebody had told you about their kids' game or something coming up, and to have that kind of warm, it's not a warm, fuzzy feeling, but that kind of like, I can trust you, really helps, because, again, when they go back to work, they're going to say, I met Yvonne. She did a simple one-page notary for me, but she called me back and asked how I was doing. It really made the difference.
Yeah, that kind of level of service is going to stand out. And when I think it's a testament to the level of service that people are used to getting. When you call and you follow up, they're just expecting you to sell something or that you want something. That's the only reason you're calling, but you're actually calling to connect. And,
Yes.
some people respond well, some people don't. But the fact that you do, once that wall's down, they're like, oh, she doesn't just pop in here for a paycheck. She popped in here because she cares about what she's doing. And
Exactly.
that's where magic starts to happen. I love hearing that. And yes, I love that you're choosing to use phone calls too. To me, that's the old fashioned way. I use the greeting cards. I'm a huge advocate of that, or even text messages. But I love that you still are using phone calls, because a lot of, especially in the reverse mortgages, which you've embraced as well, those phone calls mean a lot, right?
They do. And when you're sitting in traffic in a parking lot because somebody had an accident, that's the best way for me to do that. Because then, you don't have, because you have a Bluetooth and you can just call them, from your car, and you don't have, it's just fantastic. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
I love that. So, and then just to speak to one things that you said off camera a little bit before, and I wondered if you could elaborate a little bit, is the concept of constant continuous improvement and what you do, what that looks like in your life.
Yes, and that was that word Kaizen, which I had never heard until you you told us about it. And continuous improvement is great, because even though I have a really good signing, whether it's a general notary or it's the loan signing, I take a look at the experience and ask, what is there different that I could have done or improve upon to make that next person's experience a little better or a little bit more secure? And that continuous improvement is, again, getting more information from whatever notary association you decide to use for your continuing education. Taking a little bit of time to Google some stuff to see, well, here's a loan signing. What else? How can I be more present? How can I answer more questions or present the document to them in our capacity to help that person understand what they're signing? Is there body language that I have that could be a little bit unusual? So all of those types of things. And again, I am consistently on the road. Actually, my phone's just going off already. I am consistently in the house, maybe to sleep and eat, and I am on the road all the time. And that means like, well, people are like, well, how on earth can one person, make 15K a month and do Kaizen and poke at people and see how they're doing? It is possible. It is possible. And there is the best way to really keep your clientele going, because they're almost like a consortium of sorts. They become networked into what you're doing. So when they need you, they know exactly where to go. And then that saturation point is moot. It's just a wonderful thing. I love the service. I love being around people. I'm always smiling all the time, even here on the interview, because it is a internal, wonderful feeling when you can show up, provide your credentials, and getting something solved for them, leaving, and then making, in a sense, making a friend. Making a friend.
That is a perfect way of looking at it too. And I love that you keep bringing up service, because even though the money is great, I mean, making 15, 16, 20, $30,000 a month in this is amazing. It really is amazing. There's no taking away from that. But being in it for the right reason allows for that to happen. So being of service is such a key part of this business. And you've really demonstrated that for us today. I really appreciate it. Hey, what book are you reading right now?
I'm still doing the Miracle Morning, and this was something Bill has suggested. You could see the Miracle Morning.
Yes.
I've got a note in there because I'm like, pick up where you left off. But it's very beneficial. I am not a morning person, and I wasn't. Even though I worked for regulatory and we were overseas with our projects, I am just not a morning person. But having read that, again, you wake up to your daily dues. You wake up knowing I'm about to be present for somebody who called me to help them. Oh my gosh, that fantastic feeling. And being out there, you show up, and again, I leave quite early. So I really am maybe 10 minutes ahead before the client's appointment, provided the traffic isn't bad. So sometimes I'm actually parked out front. If it's their home, I'm parked out front. And they come out, sometimes in their bare slippers, come in.
Oh,
And I go inside. But, being the best, it just shows on you. And again, Bill, for your people watching this, I was not expecting 10, 15, 16K months. I was waiting for that to happen, 4 or 5 more months down the line. And again, we are a pretty saturated market. I'm sure other people have cities, or if they're rural, there's not very many people that they can get to. It just goes through my blood. I don't know how to say it any differently. And when that shows, people feel that and they want to share it with others they know.
well, yeah, absolutely. And that's it exactly. How you show up, authentically driven and of service, and you stay connected. It's really easy to have a relationship when they call you. It's like, oh, that was easy. And then 5 minutes later, you've forgotten, they've forgotten. It's that staying in touch that really makes all the difference, I think. And you've really embraced that. Now, to wrap up, you've also really embraced learning as much as you can. It's very clear that you're a researcher, you learn everything. How many loan signing programs have you taken, and can you list those out for us?
The loan sign, the only ones I've had was notarycoach.com. That was my first one. From there, you told me about Carol Ray. So I went on to her. And there was another gentleman, he was at the National Notary Convention in Vegas. I can't think of his name. I took his picture because I had to get a selfie. But I was planning to do his, but by the time I did Notary Coach and then Carol Ray's program, that was sufficient for me, because you have Kaizen and continuous improvement in your webinars. So that was it for me. And then National Notary, which I got, credentialed, etc. But that has really been it. Other continuous improvement is just looking at the Small Business Association, SCORE, SCORE. They have webinars and stuff you can go to for small business things, not so much notary or notary signing. And then really just using the daily dues to reach out to title companies, to network with them directly versus the Snap Docs and things. Although I am on those. I have 2 of those, but they don't have continuous improvement. That's more of the connection database. But again, the daily dues helped me get a First American title company that keeps me quite busy. And that's really been it. Just whenever I can sneak into the morning mastery if I'm not out the door already. So
yeah, great problem to have. But you know, that really highlights a really good point I'd like to make too, is when you start doing this, your business is going to start working. So it's also important when you're hustling and you're working these long days and you're making that bank and you are being of service out there on the road. It's equally important to make time when you're working in your business like that. It's also equally important to schedule that time to work on your business, doing daily dues. That's where the power of mornings comes in, guys. As mobile notaries and loan signing agents, your phone's probably not going to ring before 8 a.m. So the earlier you get up before that is time for you working on what's going to move the needle and move your business forward. Yvonne, thank you so much for sharing so much of your story today. I really appreciate it. I know you've got your phone's ringing, so you better start doing that and get that business. Thank you so much for your time.
And this is a party of one. You know, I am by myself. I have been by myself since I left my corporate job. And again, it's been a blessed journey, and there's still more roads coming up because my calendar again is full. My Fab 100s, you know, I keep in touch with, you know, and it can be done. Don't think that, you know, by yourself you're gonna like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna keep up? You can, and you can stay healthy, and you can be happy like I am. So I've got a really cool power protein shake that I drink in the morning. So
right.
if you ever want a recipe, let me know. It'll wake you up. So
yeah, you know what? I would love to compare notes on that because I've got a great one too. I've been concocting over the last few months, so we should compare notes. Thanks again, Yvonne.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you, everyone.